In this video, you will learn how to multiply decimals with whole numbers and how to multiply two decimal numbers. Well, multiplication of decimals is done by ignoring the decimal point and multiply the numbers. Then the number of decimal places in the product is equal to the total number of decimal places in both the given numbers. So let's try solving some examples here. Let's start with multiplying decimals with whole numbers. Multiplying decimals with whole numbers is just similar to the multiplication of whole numbers. The only difference is the placement of the decimal point. So we're given here this example, a decimal which is 3.83 multiplied by a whole number which is 4. So how are we going to multiply this? Right, we can write it in this way. First, we ignore the decimal point and then just simply multiply the two numbers normally. And then after that, after multiplying the two numbers, we just count the number of decimal places in the decimal number. So the decimal number here is 3.83, and it has two decimal places. And of course, the whole number has 0 decimal place. Okay, since we have two decimal places for our decimal number and 0 decimal place for our whole number, then we add them up. We have a total of 2 decimal places, and then we can use that after we multiply the numbers. We can use 2 decimal places for our final answer for the product. So let's multiply 3A3 and 4. Alright, we multiply the first digits first. 4 times 3, so that is 12. Carry 1. We put 1 on top of above 8. And then 4 times 8 is 32. And 32 plus 1 is 33. We bring down 3 and then we write 3 above 3. And then 4 times 3 is 12. And 12 plus 3 is 15. Since we have a total of 2 decimal places, and then we count 2 decimal places for our answer or the product. So we place the decimal point here. So our answer is just equal to 15.32. So 3.83 times 4 is just equal to 15.32. So let's try another example. Right, how about this one? 49.8 times 8. So let's multiply these two numbers, a decimal and a whole number. So first we ignore the decimal point and then just simply multiply the numbers normally. So we count the decimal point, the decimal places here. So for our decimal number, we have 1 decimal place, and for whole number, of course, is 0. Then we add them up. That means our product, or the product of these two numbers, or the result or the answer, would have a decimal place, would have 1 decimal place. So let's start multiplying 49.8 or 498 times 8. So we start here. 8 times 8 is 64, so we bring down 4 and then we put 6 above 9, and then 9 times 8 is 72 plus 6, so that would be 78. We bring down 8 and then we put 7 above or on top of 4, and then 4 times 8, that is 32. Then 32 plus 7, that is 39. Since we have a total of 1 decimal place, then we put our decimal point here. Okay, one decimal place. So our answer is 398.4. 49.8 times 8 is just equivalent to 398.4. Now, how about if we multiply two decimal numbers? Alright, multiplying decimals has the same process or procedure as that of multiplication of the whole numbers, except the placement of the decimal point in the product. It's basically the same as that of the whole number, but the only difference is that we have to take the sum of the total number of decimal places in both the given numbers, and that needs to be equal to the number of the decimal places in the product. Now let's try multiplying these two decimal numbers here. Let's say 2.4 times 3.25. Again, to multiply these two numbers, we ignore the decimal point and then multiply them normally, just like we multiply two whole numbers. And then after multiplying them, we just have to count the total number of decimal places in both the numbers. And then the product would have the total number of decimal places. So let's count in the number of decimal places in these two decimal numbers. So the first one, 2.4, has one decimal place. And then the second number, 3.25, has two decimal places. Then we add them up, so that means our product or the result after multiplying these two numbers would have three decimal places. So now let's start multiplying them. Maybe we can just write the number that has two decimal places first. Is 3.25 times 2.4. So it'll be easier. So this one, two decimal places, one decimal place. Okay, and now let's multiply them. Let's start here. 4 times 5, so that is 20. So we bring down 0, and then we put 2 on top or above 2. And then 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. We bring down 0. And then we put 1 on top of 3 or above 3. And then 4 times 3, that is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. And then the next number 2, we multiply 2 and 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, we bring down 0 here, and then we put 1 above 2, and then 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5, and then 2 times 3 is 6. Then we add the results. Alright, so 0 plus nothing, there's nothing to add here to 0, then we just bring down 0. So place 0 here. 0 plus 0 is 0. 3 plus 5, that is 8. 6 plus 1 is 7. Now we have our product or the result after multiplication should have 3 decimal places. So we count from here 1, 2, 3. So our decimal point should be here. So the answer would be 7.8. 7.8. Okay. All right, let's try another example. Let's say we're given 7.25 times 1.2. Okay, first we ignore the decimal point and then we count the number of decimal places. Here 7.25 has 2 decimal places, and then 1.2 has 1 decimal place. So that means when we add the decimal places, that means our answer or the product or the result after multiplication would have 3 decimal places. Alright, so let's multiply the numbers. We start here. 2 times 5 is 10. We bring down 0, carry 1, or we put 1 above 2. Then 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. 2 times 7 is 14. And then the next one, 1 times 5 is 5. Then 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 7 is 7. And then we add these two numbers. Okay. There's nothing to add to 0 here, so we just bring down 0. Then 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry 1. 1 plus 4 plus 2 is 7. Then 1 plus 7 is 8. Alright, since we have a total of 3 decimal places, then we count 3. 1, 2, 3. So the decimal point would be in between 8 and 7. So the answer would be 8.7. Or we can just drop the zeros on the extreme right, just like the same as the previous problem. So the answer here could only be 8.7. That one is also acceptable.